Welcome to the Chronicles, told by the Oracle. Cases of the missing, murdered, and unknown. I'd like to thank everyone for watching today, and don't forget to head over to thecertifiedoracle.com and like the page so you never miss a case. Let's get started with Chronicle number 1. The Aeileen and Conway case. The year was 1986. Dr. Franklin Chang Diaz was the first Hispanic American astronaut to go into space. The United Kingdom and France announced plans to construct the Channel Tunnel, better known as the Chunnel. Stand By Me, Short Circuit, and Little Shop of Horrors were taking over movie screens, while dressing like a tennis player was totally radical. Fresh chicken and veggies with a side of fruit was on dinner tables everywhere, as healthy living was back in. Velour and velvet were the absolute must-haves for men and women alike. The first federal Martin Luther King Jr. Day was observed on January 20th. Meanwhile, hailstones weighing 2.2 pounds fell on Gopalganj, a district of Bangladesh, killing 92. In better news, Hands Across America had at least 5 million people form a human chain from New York to Long Beach, California, in order to raise money for homelessness and hunger. 1986 was full of surprises, many that were good, but for one family it was a year filled with tragedy, as a mother and wife had been taken from her family in a brutal car crash. The question now, was it an accident or murder? Aeileen Ann Anderson was born on June 15, 1935, in Comanche County, Oklahoma. At the age of 18, she would marry Patrick Conway, who was only a few years older than her, and take on his name. The couple would have 7 children together and go on to be married for 33 years before tragedy would strike. On Tuesday, April 29, 1986, at 10:40 a.m., a farmer tending to his field saw a large plume of smoke coming from a nearby road. The farmer would alert authorities, and 20 minutes later the Oklahoma State Highway Patrol was on the scene. The Highway Patrol would find a vehicle engulfed in flames on an abandoned bridge. The heat from the fire was so intense the car had melted into the guardrail. Inside, the troopers found a body that was burned beyond recognition. The police would run a computer check on the vehicle, and it came back to Pat Conway. Pat, along with his wife, Aeileen, lived 15 miles away in Lawton, Oklahoma. Police would notify him of what they assumed was a tragic accident. It was determined that Aeileen was behind the wheel at the time of impact. Pat would arrive home a few hours after the crash and find some discrepancies that made him believe his wife was murdered. When he entered his home, he found the patio door wide open. Aileen's purse that she always had with her was found sitting by an armchair with her driver's license and glasses still inside. The ironing board was set up with an iron that was still on sitting on top of it. The garden hose was running into the backyard pool, and when Pat walked to the master bedroom located in the back of the home, he found the bathtub full and the phone off the hook, resting on the side of the tub. Pat knew something was wrong. His wife would have never just left the home like this. It was all very strange, to say the least. Pat was not happy with the cause of death listed and set out on a mission to find the truth. He would enlist the help of Ray Anderson, who was an investigator with the district attorney's office. Together they would go to the crash site and look for any evidence. Ray would find a church bulletin a short distance away. Pat is 100% certain it was from their church on Sunday morning, and it was last seen sitting on the dash of their car. Aeileen was known to always keep her windows up and drive with the air conditioning on. This would make Ray theorize that someone else was in the car, and when they opened the door, the church bulletin flew out. This would be enough for the DA to change the cause of death from accidental to undetermined. At this time, the DA would ask the OSBI and the state fire marshal to evaluate the car for the likelihood of arson. Sonny Sanson from the fire marshal's office would say he was suspicious it was arson based on how badly the vehicle was burned. The burn looked like gasoline had been used. The gas cap was also missing, and in most vehicle arson cases, the perpetrator removes the gas cap, according to Sonny. The fire marshal would perform a burn test on a vehicle similar to Aileen's. When burned with a torch, it would only stay on fire while the torch was held to the fabric. If taken away, the fire would fizzle out. When the fabric was soaked in gasoline, it destroyed it completely, forming the conclusion that an accelerant of gasoline was used. An OSBI officer would state they have no idea why Aeileen would have been on a rural abandoned bridge, as neither she nor her husband had ever been to this location. This is where the evidence ends, as there really was no evidence to begin with. It all burned up in the car that April day. Note: no article nor does Unsolved.com state if the home was ever processed as a crime scene. Ray Anderson said this case would only be solved when and if someone admits to it. He firmly believes that most people are caught because they cannot keep from bragging about the crime they committed. Pat would pass away in 2013 and go to his grave never knowing what truly happened to his beloved wife Aeileen. There is not a lot known about Aeileen before this tragedy, other than she was a mother, a wife, and loved by her family. If you have any information on this case, please contact the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation at 405-848-6724. Once again, that's the OSBI at 405-848-6724. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button and never miss a case. As always, this is the Chronikle, signing off.